Lefturk art rta shokoi. Shulcha in deeps ethilftia. Ancient rta letangent. Rta ish matsushut bete. Hoert met zauerta lechwash. Betalfturkenchget abetault. Rta vetudalchert ududa. Vintage joy. If the half trois euch vertellt wird, schauen sie da injinget, wasch, gedown jinget. Bthar-Zel neftirka ims she injinget, irt vertauerde, rata verdiert schut, rata imsa. Let schauen sie, let.
How can I see?
Rata ish, alf trois euch, betinch, betherdinch injinget. Inchoterdesh retintinget, launchen derde, en daurete ingetaerdendish mitzanch, usher ish, vertaued beterdalch betilche.
Move along.
I was simply looking at the sign. Ingeterde Alfdesh. Gewanschenderd, Bthar-Zel ish leftirka. If the Aunschleftoi of derd aernd abedauert rata ingenderd, but the dingenta rata ard leftench ratau betardams. Lecherta inschleftoi rata erda masushut bete mitzauerde.
Well, hello and welcome. My name is Joe, and I am the Panicked Monk. And you are watching Lost in Time, a Dwemer's tale. If you have been following along, you know that we are heading to Bthar-Zel, or better known as Deep Folk Crossing, to retrieve the final shard of aetherium so that we can access the forge. But there are going to be a few things that we need to do after that. There are going to be a few things that we need to do before we can actually access the forge. that is going to be getting into Blackreach and following up on this quest, this job for Arneal Gain that Szenac doesn't know exactly why, but he is intrigued by what Arneal is doing, even though Arneal has given him little to nothing to go on. He was told to follow his instincts, because he does need to find the tools of Kagranak, and he thinks Arneal may be up to something. That maybe Arneal knows a little bit more about the tools than he's leading others to believe. Now, of course, it could be nothing. Szenac just doesn't know. But his instincts are telling him he needs to follow up with that. With whatever Arneal is doing.
In downshirt leftirka rataish. Arms ratau. Shilfdoi. Shirt downstand.
Alright, what's going on over here? I can hear something. See anything? What in the hell? That sounds awful. Uh-oh. Something.
Aua. Wat ish rataert. Kept ojouwerd in dishirt aansletje, schratletje erd, iert in douwischen jurt, schmetratau, hanshert ush. Betheshert en chauwert ratau, bethet dauw dauker eert. Hoe erf dert eert ish.
As you have probably noticed, I've inserted quite a bit of Dwemeris into this particular episode. I wanted to get back to what Szenac really is. And just as a reminder that when he's by himself, he's talking to himself, he's kind of mulling his own thoughts, he's going to do that in his native tongue. That is Dwemeris. So, kind of try to bring us back to the roots of the character a little bit. I've decided that it might be nice to insert a little bit of his native language into this episode to kind of re-emphasize that that is really what he is. So, now, I actually had this great clever idea that I was going to do this entire episode in character voice in Dwemeris until I actually started converting the Dwemeris dialogue and realized that just was not going to be practical. It wasn't going to happen. There was just way too much work. Basically, in order to do that, what I would have to do is I would have to write all this dialogue for this entire episode. I'd have to run it through a conversion process to spell it out in a way that would be pronounceable as Dwemeris, record it, splice it all into the appropriate spot, like I would really with any kind of dialogue. Just that it would be that much harder, that much more difficult, because I would be doing it in smaller pieces, so I'd have a lot more dialogue to have to put into place, and it was just not going to work. Maybe if I were doing a short 15-minute piece, maybe. But so here's the process, if you're at all curious. And I don't recall if I've gone into this in much depth before, and I guess if I have, I'll kind of reiterate. When I do Dwemer dialogue, this is how it comes out. I have to write it. I have to write the dialogue that I want. I have created a Access application, MS Access, the database, that I can enter in the text that I want, the English version of the dialogue. I enter that into a form field, and then I have it set up to loop through that dialogue, the English version, and translate it from English to how I perceive the Dwemeris language to be done. So that is, there's code that goes through in the background. It goes to tables where I have an English letter A through Z and its equivalent Dwemeris sound. And then I have a column, like a numeric column, sort of. I have to have it delimited by, I think I'm using dashes. I could use pipes, whatever. But anyway, so I go through, and the program, it sweeps through the entire English text, and it locates each letter, assigns it the numeric value with the pipes or the hyphens, dashes, whatever you want to call them. So it swaps out in A for -1 dash. And then further in the code, so once it does that for the entire thing, so it swaps out all the letters for numbers, it loops through it again and replaces all of those numbers with the corresponding Dwemer sound. So if we have the letter A, it gets swapped out to a -1 dash. And then it loops through it again and swaps that -1 dash out with A HH, which is the Dwemer sound for A. So I pronounce it ah, and it just loops through each and every single word, every letter like that. So that's how I get the sound. You can do it manually, but this was just easier to build this out and let computers do what they're really good at, and that's run code. So once I get my dialogue, I run it through that translation process, and then I have to take it and pair it up with what I want. Actually, no, before that, what I do is I'll bring it into Audacity, I'll record it, and then I'll match that recording up to the scene that I intended it to be with, and hopefully I can remember where that was. Because I'm not quite as organized as I should be, and I don't like jot down time stamps and stuff like that. Usually it's not too bad, but so when I'm recording these, of course I don't get it on the first take. That just doesn't happen. Sometimes, if it's a very short sentence, I might get lucky. But I fire up Audacity and I read this thing. Either I print off the dialogue, the Dwemer dialogue, or I will most likely have it up like on a Google Doc or a Word doc, and I'll just have it on the screen, and I'll split the screen so I have Audacity on one side and my text on the other side, and I'll read it as I'm recording. And if I stumble on a word, I'll pause and I'll try again, and I'll try again, and I'll try again, until finally or eventually I get a sound that's, if nothing else, good enough. So that leaves me with this audio file that's really long and really big with a lot of mistakes and errors in it. So then I have to take that file and I go through that audio file, and bit by bit I trim out the trial and errors until I get to the one take that I wanted. And then I have to kind of push that all together so that I get kind of a more fluid, more natural sounding rhythm. Because as I'm reading through this, I'll read a couple words and then I'll pause and I'll kind of look ahead and I'll think about how I want to say it. I'll say it. If I have to, I'll say it a couple times, but then I have to go back and I got to take all those pauses out, because if I don't, it sounds really jerky, robotic, and not like a natural language would be if someone's speaking it. So there's a lot of pieces, there's a lot of things that need to be done in order to create this illusion of the Dwemer language being spoken by Szenac. Part of that process too at the very end is once I get it all squished together and I get all of the edits done, I'll run it through filters to get the tone and the pitch.
Of tau met tau getau petash. Wisha o yawa en chow a aerodumps. Dumpson joyawa.
Alright. This bridge, if you are familiar with the game at all, which by now I'm sure everyone is a bugger. It's got a load of Forsworn that patrol it and hang out at the other side by that little hut. So we kind of battle our way across it, so we can move on. Szenac was really hoping that he could just reason with them, but that became evident very quickly that it just wasn't gonna work out that way. So here we are. Ooh. Don't get surrounded. Getting flanked and getting hit. I think our stamina's getting blasted pretty bad here too. Szenac is definitely not above using poisons, as has been proven in the past. Kind of comes down to a state of practicality, and if that's what's going to give you the best chance of survival, then that's what he's going to use. Alright, we're going to heal up quick. Something I as a player am getting a little better at realizing that I need to do that, and am actually using that ability. So he does have the fast healing, which is nice. So I got that working for me. Not a very good verbatim quote, but I'm sure a couple of you will get it. Alright, our Atronach is still kind of bothered by something over there, but I didn't really see anything, so I'm going to check out the other side of the bridge, and... well, Oh, turn around. Okay. She flushed someone out of there. Alright, well done. The Atronach is not quite as powerful as our Zibelai, but the burning damage, the additional burning damage is kind of nice. And as a reminder, Szenac, being a dweller from, a deep folk, a Dwemer, that even though a lot of the city-states are in Markarth, in that Reach area, or not a lot, but several, he's not familiar with the terrain, and that is a direct result of spending the very vast majority of his life not only underground, but in a time period that is thousands of years prior to this. So even if he did spend more time above during the days of the Dwemer, over thousands of years, the landscape would have changed, likely enough to throw him off. So he's not as familiar with the roads and where he's going. He has an idea where he needs to go at the moment. But he does have to question himself. He relies heavily on the road signs when they're available. And directions given to him by his colleagues, his mentors and teachers at the college as well. This long trip actually has been good, I think, for Szenac to kind of collect his thoughts a little bit and give him time to think about what he needs to do next, and just reflect a little bit on some of the past as well, as far as, what the city-states were all about and that kind of thing.
Aetherium. Szenac. Wheat arda o yawa in Dawen jinget. A unscherten jinget vertauert Aetherium. Betelcha usha chaumse ngeta ausschot sha oish sha esh vertauerunchend rata betauerdingenda. Irt alf schau unchendisch leftirka Vata irdoi betalfte beturte aerda ams auf tretau Bthar-Zel. Bthar-Zel. Ansch aurtilftoi injinget lechertoi rata art gewash met zaude alft thilftanche alft an dimsinch ish ratanch janch. Raoi ulftend rataoi el alfte sheardend alft Aetherium. Rataoi Bthar-Zel urkechech aua ratau lechedaftert in dankenderde liftert alft hoja verdauert ingenda Aetherium.
So, really, according to Szenac, he's really not sure why Bthar-Zel would have had, anything to do with the aetherium. They were administration. That was the primary focus of the city. But so his memories would have been probably a little jaded towards maybe some of those more bureaucratic societies. He was definitely a more hands-on blue-collar worker, if you would. So, his thoughts on the whole matter would have been, something like, why would they have anything to do with an aetherium shard? And then, well, of course they would. Why wouldn't they? Always poking their beards into business they don't belong. So, nothing but puppets for the priests. That kind of attitude. But I guess regardless of what he thinks, that's where he needs to go. So, and it is getting dark, and Szenac is not real thrilled with traveling in the dark. Although, if that sound of a bear is of any consequence, this might not be the best place. So. Let's get over here. Get over here and pack up our tent. And I think we need to look for a new location. I don't think camping in the wide open with a bear nearby is probably all that good of an idea. Let's conjure a little health just in case. And Szenac's going to do something here that's a little uncustomary. He's going to do a little rock hopping. He kind of is making more of a beeline as the crow flies, if you will. So he just wants to get to his destination as quickly as possible, and he doesn't want to confront this bear wherever it might be. So he's going to do something a little out of character and scramble his way down a steeper cliffside than he would otherwise probably take. Not to mention it is late, it's dark, and he's probably tired from the entire day's travel. So spending another couple hours looking for a road or a smoother path to get down just doesn't seem as appealing as, taking the effort of scaling down some fairly scalable rocks. So now the challenge, though, is to actually find a location that we can set up camp. The rocky terrain is just not cooperating very well with us right now, so we'll have to keep making our way. Now that that was a direct result of not knowing exactly where my original Zivilized Sorcerer conjuration was going. I didn't know the path that it was going to try to take to get down to where I am, since I did do a little rock climbing. So I conjured up another conjuration, only to find out that my sorcerer was actually right behind me. No, 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 no. I really don't want to fall down into the river right at this place. I would be swept over that fall in no time. Alright, this might be a decent spot up here. Let's see what we can find. Yeah, that might work. Now, for some reason, my goggles are giving me trouble right now, so he would normally light up his scouter goggles and give himself a little bit of light, but it just wasn't cooperating for some reason, so just have to make do without it. So, what's next? Well, we have a few things that we need to do. Once we get the shard, we need to find the forge. The shard is only going to allow us to get to the forge. It's not actually going to help us find it. Although our ghost, Katraya, I still don't know how to pronounce her name, will help us a little bit. We still need to get down there. We do have our journal, so we can refer back to that. So, once we get there, we can actually begin searching for the forge in that location. So we've got the forge. We have Crimson Nirnroot that we need to go gather to make this potion that Senac's mother had spoken to him about that will help him boost his innate Dwemer abilities so that he can control the automatons. So we need to get into Blackreach, since that is the only place I'm aware of, or that Szenac is aware of, that has Crimson Nirnroot. Blackreach being Fall Zardum Din. So we have that. We have to find the tools of Kagranak, otherwise we will not be able to, or Szenac will not be able to square off against this Banished One, this Falmer that his mother told him about, that has caused this whole rift, this whole fracture, this kind of little bubble in time that he's stuck in. So, those are the three things that need to be done. The forge, Crimson Nirnroot, the tools, and then we can go search for this Banished One. So, what do we do? What is the order of operations in this particular scenario? Really, outside of searching for the Banished One, that's got to be last, because we need all the other stuff. We need the tools in order to do that. So we can't get down into Blackreach, not yet, because we don't know how. Yep, what do we got? Forsworn Camp. This must be the Scottish regiment. I mean, it's just not me. He was wearing a green kilt, right? Oh, I'd love to go visit Scotland someday. It's on the bucket list. So anyway, I digress. Szenac has these three primary things he needs to do before he can square off with the Banished One. Now, he could go down into the forge, but because the whole reason to go to the forge, the whole reason that he thought that finding this aetherium forge was so that he could make some sort of item, some sort of relic, if you will, that would allow him to combine it with this potion that his mother spoke of, so that he could wear this item that would help enhance his abilities instead of always having to carry around and drink potions. So that's the reason to go to the forge. Well, without the potion, there's no reason to do that yet. So that one's kind of off the table, I think. After he finds this last shard, he'll be ready to go, but he won't have a reason to go. Not yet. He needs to get the Black Reach. That's where Crimson Nirnroot is, so we could do that. But he doesn't know how. His mother was going to see about how he might be able to do that, and kind of let him know. He doesn't know exactly how she's going to let him know, but she was going to help look into that, and provide him with some kind of means to do that. And that hasn't happened, so we can't get to Black Reach. So that's off the table. But that really leaves only one thing left, and that's to find the Tools of Kagranak. Which brings us to Arneal Gain, because Szenac is convinced that whatever Arneal is doing has something to do with the tools, or at least one of them. He doesn't know what, he doesn't know why, but that's what his gut is telling him. So, moving forward, after we get the shard here, it's off to complete these requests from Arneal Gain, so that we can help him further his research to see exactly if what he's doing is actually related to the tools in some way or another. So that's the plan. Go help Arneal after this is done, and then the next step would be to find a way into Fal Zardumdin, or Blackreach, to collect Crimson Nirnroot. After that, we go to the forge, we create our item. Once we create our item, we can begin searching for this Banished One, this ancient Falmer that has messed with our life. Hopefully in doing so, we'll actually even maybe find out why he screwed us around so bad. I mean, we still don't even know why. Szenac doesn't know why. His mother really didn't say specifically why he did this to us. So, in confronting him, maybe some of that will come out. I don't know. Szenac doesn't know. But I think he's hopeful that he'll at least maybe get some resolution in regards to why. But that's a long ways off from here. We have a lot of work to do. We gotta find Bthar-Zel first and foremost. That's curious. And get the shard, and then tuck that all safely away for when we can use it. As you can see, Szenac is a little on edge. Weapon drawn and marking his way through, I guess, what he considers to be hostile or, well, enemy, but at least hostile territory. What the hell is that? Someone shot an arrow at us, right?
Come on, show yourself. Guess it's all clear now.
Bthar-Zel. I have no reason to go to Bthar-Zel at the moment. Where is this place? It has to be around here somewhere. It all looks the same. Wait. It's the Great Bridge. I found it. I found the bridge. Where's the rest of the city? What has happened to Bthar-Zel? Must be something. What happened here? Gone. Only the bridge remains. Unbelievable. Wait, what's up there? Is this all that's left? I see it. What is this? Yes, there it is. The last piece.
Beat me to it this time.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
That's the last one, isn't it? It's...
thank you so much for
I'll meet you at the forge.
coming with us on this journey to Bthar-Zel to find the last shard of aetherium. Until next time, safe journeys.